Hello, and welcome back to my story, Letter to Nicholas. Chapter 3. For the next 2 weeks I carried out light duties. I reported to Madame Adeline every night, and she questioned me about my health. I assured her that all was well. She told me that walking was important exercise for a pregnant woman. So she gave me lots of tasks involving small deliveries in the local area. It was one morning about 3 weeks later that I noticed something. I was just coming round the corner into my street when I noticed a strange taste in my mouth, a strange metallic taste. I reported it to Madame Adeline that night. As she noted it down in her ledger, I thought I saw a flicker of a smile on her face. I was right. Next day I was summoned to Madame Margot. She wasted no time on civilities. I understand that you have not bled. Yes, madame, that is correct. It is likely that you are pregnant. Your pregnancy is related to a very important client, and its value to our establishment cannot be underrated. You are to behave at all times with the utmost discretion. You are to comply with all orders, and above all, you will ask no questions. Do you understand? Yes, madame. Your tutor, Monsieur Gaston, will start your education on Monday. You will study all school subjects with a special emphasis on English. I saw the other girls at mealtimes and I answered their endless questions as vaguely as I could. Eventually they stopped and ignored me. I was all alone in my head, wondering what there was in store for me. Why was I being educated? They only needed my child, so why was I learning to speak English? Was I to be sent to an English-speaking country? Was it England, or America, or Australia? It was during this time that I learned extreme self-control. Not only did I not ask questions, I did not even allow them to formulate in my head. I was being well looked after, well fed, and I was getting an education. Maybe that was my way out of the situation that I was in. I had imagined Monsieur Gaston to be a withered old éminence grise. I was wrong. He was young, maybe 30. He looked and dressed in a drab fashion. His features were plain, and it was hard to view him as masculine. However, once lessons began, he became animated. We studied geography, history, maths, and English. I was slow at first, as I had not been to school for years. However, when I had grasped the basics, I began to learn quickly. I loved my lessons. I studied hard, and Monsieur Gaston said I was one of the most conscientious students he had ever had. My tummy grew, and I felt the funny little movements of the baby inside me. Emotions and thoughts formed in me, and I began to fear the moment when this baby, my only relative, would be taken away from me. On the day that my labour started, Madame Margot came to visit me. As usual, she was brief and to the point. Élodie, if your baby is a girl, she will be removed and adopted. If it is a boy, he will stay with you until further decisions are made. And remember, be obedient at all times and ask no questions. A nurse stayed with me all day and night. The contractions were regular, painful, and did not allow me to sleep. A doctor arrived in the morning. He said that my young frame, I was barely 16, contributed to a rather slow, difficult birth, but that all was well, and my baby was about to be born. Suddenly, and with strength that contradicted my exhausted state, I began to push. Madame Adeline and Madame Margot arrived. The room was charged with anticipation. One massive push, and the baby arrived. It was a boy. No one congratulated me. No attention was paid to me. But the baby was closely examined and pronounced to be perfect. I knew then that I could hold my composure through almost anything except the removal of my baby. My whole being wanted to hold him, protect him, and take care of him. For the moment he stayed there beside me in his bassinet. Next day, Madame Adeline sat in front of me. "Elodie, you have done well, but there's a long road ahead of you, and if you wish to survive, you must do exactly as you are told. This is your story. Learn it by heart, and do not deviate from it. There will be terrible consequences if you do. Not only will you be separated from your baby, you will be separated from life." So, after your parents died, you came to Paris with a guardian who looked after you and educated you. One day, he took you to the Louvre as part of your art education. It was there that you met and subsequently fell in love with an Englishman, an English lord. He married you and you welcomed a baby son together. Please memorize this, and I will question you later. Tomorrow the Englishman will present himself to you. He speaks a little French, but you must make every effort to speak English. If he approves of you and the baby, then you will accompany him to England. There could have been excitement in my thoughts that night, but there wasn't. I had been sold with my baby to an English man. I was probably going to live with him in England. A picture of an overweight old man flooded into my mind. The girls had told me that men are sometimes infertile, but now that he had his baby son and heir, he could do what he wanted with me. I steeled myself. At least for the moment I could keep my baby. I was young. I had already coped with hardship. I prepared myself for more. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe and look out for the next chapter. But this is all for now. See you soon. Bye.